Hello, welcome to this Wellbeing Conversation brought to you by the Wellbeing Directory in partnership with the Busy Women Club. I'm your host, Helen Ranson, and each week we're going to chat with some really incredible wellbeing professionals from our directory to explore their journeys, passions, and the work that they do to help other people thrive and grow. And today I'm joined by Caddy Earle, who is a personal and professional coach. She's here to share her story and her journey to how she's arrived at doing what she does today. Welcome, Caddy.
Oh, Helen, thank you so much for having me. I've been really looking forward to this. And it's good to be here.
We have lots of nerves. Well, I have lots of nerves. Caddy's a lot more professional than me. Mine are technological nerves here. So let's just hope this goes well and we sort of get through. So where do you want to start? Let's start your story. Tell me about your path in becoming the person you are today.
Well, I suppose ultimately that's life experience, right? We are who we are today because of everything that went before. And I've been a formal coach, if you want to call it that, for probably 5 years now. And I absolutely love what I do because the work that I do really impacts people's lives and really sort of makes a difference for them and makes a difference for everybody else in their life as well. And I suppose how I really got into it myself, I've always naturally, I suppose, coached people and helped people. So even when I was very young, my friends would come to me for advice, and I was always able to maybe give them a different perspective, which then would make them feel better, because ultimately we all tell ourselves a story. And Helen, you just told yourself a story that you were nervous and that you were hoping that on a technological point of view, everything would go right. Now, the thing is that when we label something or we tell a story, we can only experience it as that. So when we say something is difficult, we can only experience that as being difficult. So I just really wanted to touch on that because it's a prime example of how what we do and how we feel is caused and created by the thoughts that we entertain and the story that we tell ourselves.
Absolutely.
So when we tell ourselves a different story, when we allow ourselves to, see a different perspective, have a different perception about something, our world really does change.
Yeah.
So like I said, from a very young age, I've been able to, help my friends to do that. And then at work, I have a corporate background, corporate career. And I always manage teams, and I really love the people side of things and mentoring people and, getting the best out of them. And, I was very fortunate myself in my business my career to have mentors and directors and people that believed in me. So they saw something in me that I didn't quite see myself yet. And, now I sort of offer that to the people that I meet. Everybody's unique. We have so much to give this world and so much to offer ourselves, our loved ones, and our world. But we're sort of not able to do that because we have these limiting thoughts and these limiting belief systems that hold us back from, the life that we really want to be living.
Mm-hmm. I think since I've known you, Caddy, the one thing that I really intuitively feel about you is that you can do that. You can recognize people's uniqueness.
Absolutely.
And see it for what it is and take it in a really positive direction. And that's a real gift, actually. And that's an incredibly empowering thing to be able to give to people, to be able to say, to me, do you know what? It's okay if this goes wrong. And you can't work the tech out. Because actually, the other side of that coin is it'll look really natural and people will relate and go, yeah, that's me. I couldn't have done that either. So that vulnerability is very empowering, isn't it? And coming to terms with your uniqueness is amazing. It's a real gift. It's a real gift to be able to give that back to people and hold the mirror up and say, yeah, it's okay.
All is well. It always is. All is well. It's just how you think about it. If you choose to decide that all is well, no matter what, then all is well. Yeah.
So was there any major thing that led you to this journey? So I'm sort of hearing you say that it was a sort of, you were always this way in supporting people and guiding people along. any major things that sort of nudged you into the one-to-one work, particularly?
Yes, very much so. So I had, like most people, we've had some trauma in our younger lives. My mum was actually mentally ill, so she was, in and out the home and in hospital and things like that. And interesting, because I grew up in Holland, and my mum was actually, she was an amazing woman, because she had a very open mind, and she was very much, I suppose I learned that from her, look at something in a different way, look at it from a different angle,
Yeah,
and then how
yeah.
you feel will change. So my mum was very Dutch, very open-minded, and my dad was English, and you could describe him as a very typical English gentleman, stiff upper lip, don't really talk about anything. And so from a very young age, I sort of saw two very different people in two very different cultures, and how the way that they were thinking about things and the way, excuse me, they were brought up sort of shaped the way that they lived their life. So a bit of trauma. I moved to England myself when I was 19, really just to get away from, a bad situation at home. And really, I didn't feel at home in England for a very long time. I lived in a place called Wigan, and I had, built up a very, very good career there with a company called Heinz. We all know the beans and the ketchup. And so on the surface, my life to other people looked fine, but I suffered from very severe depression, was very, very
Okay.
anxious. And, I was really, it came to a point where I was literally dragging myself out of bed and really dreading, what was going to happen in this day, how am I going to get through this day? Thank God I had my son, Connor, who really just made me get up, because I wanted to be a good mum for him. So I just got myself out of bed and, did what I felt I had to do. And in work, I was working too many hours. I was feeling really stressed. And I was starting to wonder, well, is this it? There must be more to life than this. And I remember standing in front of, my bedroom window and thinking, really, it would just be so nice to just feel good a couple of times a month, to just wake up and feel excited for my day. And, things were really getting to a head. I had also just come out of a very toxic relationship with a narcissistic sociopath, which obviously doesn't help. And I was in quite a lot of debt. And then I found out that I had breast cancer as well. And what happened sort of around that time was that one of my good friends introduced me to a coaching program called Thinking into Results. And it immediately changed my life around. So I became a student of that program. Within 2 days, I started to feel very, very differently.
Wow.
And like I said, it just changed my life. And, I'm fit and healthy. I've bought my dream home, completely out of debt, quadrupled my income. I've renovated my home. I'm driving my dream car. I'm putting my son through commercial pilot training. And that's been a dream of his since he was 5 years old. And actually, in 3 weeks' time, we'll be all done, all trained. So hashtag proud mama. I have great relationships. So life is really good. But more than anything, what it helped me to do is to actually wake up feeling good every day, and to stay in control of my thoughts, and to have cultivated, a positive and empowering mindset. And I love what I do every day, and I know it impacts, my clients and the people around them. And so I decided, because it had such a huge impact on my life and the people, around me, I thought I have to share this with the world. And that's how I decided to train as a coach of that Thinking into Results program. And Helen, here we are.
Wow. And loving every day. I mean, that's just, as you know, I sort of, I'm doing a Living Your Legacy program, which comes on the back of me having worked in palliative care. So people who are very focused on their life in a different way. It's that intense focus, isn't it, when you get to that point in your life when things have to change and you have to do things differently.
Absolutely.
And what drove me to work in that arena was people saying to me, how do I get up every day and have a good day when I'm sitting in this situation with, facing my own mortality? It's sort of the closed door ahead of me. How do I live well? How do I have a good day? And what you're describing is just, you're living your legacy every moment, aren't you? You're living fully every day now.
Yeah.
And sharing that with other people, which is just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. And I think, for me, because, obviously I had a diagnosis of breast cancer, and, I say to people, that was actually one of the best things that happened to me, because it did make me go, okay, well, imagine if I didn't wake up tomorrow, then how would I want to be living my life? What's the life that I want to look back on? And, I think, and I've been around people who, who have been in that situation where their life is absolutely coming to an end. And, I just feel it is such a shame that we have to sort of have that impact to wake us up and to say, okay, well, we do only get one life, and let's live it today, every day, the way
and
that
to
we
the
can
best of your
live it to the
ability
best.
every day.
Yeah, and prioritize the things that are really, really important. And what are the really important things? It's being with the people that we love. It's sharing the unique gifts that we have with the world every day, and not just wait until retirement. I remember when I worked at Heinz, and it was a great company to work for. They paid well, good pension plan, and all of this. And I would talk to people who were maybe late 20s, early 30s, and they weren't really happy in their job, but they'd say, well, it's a great pension. I can't leave and do something else because I'll lose my pension. And they're living 30 years in going to work every day, doing something they don't really
it's
enjoy.
like a limbo, isn't it? It's like,
it's like
you're not living fully. You're just sort of surviving and not living.
Just
So
existing.
what do you feel it is that when you work on a one-to-one that your clients go away with? What is it you hope to sort of touch in them? What's that light bulb moment for you with the people you work with?
Yeah. So really what everybody wants is peace of mind, is to have a balance in life, is to, have their passion, have their professional life. We're intelligent people. We want to use our brain. We want to add value to the world, but not sacrificing relationships with our loved ones, not sacrificing, not being able to take your kids to school or to spend time with them, go and see the sports day and things like that. So I suppose what I really help people to do is, first and foremost, is to understand what it is. What do you really want? What is it that you want? How do you want to live your life? How do you want to feel when you wake up? How do you want to feel when you go to bed? What do you want to do during your day? And for most people, that is, I want to wake up feeling good. I want to wake up feeling excited for my day. I want to add value. I want to go to bed in the evening feeling fulfilled and feeling tired, but not because I'm fatigued or because I'm drained, but because I'm tired because I did something good this day. So sort of the process I go through with them is, first of all, understanding what is it that you really want. And it's not what you think you can do. It's not what you think you should do, but it's really, you live your life, you have your 24 hours. How do you want to live that? And then I'm really creating a mindset that helps people to achieve that. So, there's lots of research been done, and basically 95% of everything that we do, everything that we feel, everything that we think, all the decisions that we make is automatic, it's habitual. So we're all sort of programmed. I call it paradigms, and we all have these belief systems, these habits that we have of, like I said, doing things, and it's driving 95% of everything that we do. And your results actually are a direct reflection of what goes on inside of you. So this is law of cause and effect, which dictates that every action has a reaction. So the actions that we're taking give us a reaction. And you could say, well, that's the results that you're getting in life. That's the environment that you're sort of living in. So what I help people to do is to understand, what are the habits that you have that are not serving you? And, we may have had habits when we were younger that really served us, especially people who've been through trauma. You've had to sort of put survival mechanisms in place that helped you survive when you were younger. But now you may be 30, 40, 50, I'm 55, and we don't need those survival mechanisms anymore. We don't need to stick with the habits that we have. But because they are habits that are automatic, we sort of revert back to type, if that makes sense. So I help people to understand, what are those behaviors that we have, those belief systems that we have that don't serve us. why do you think that you can't do something? It's because of story you tell yourself.
Yeah,
So if we change
yeah.
that story and you start to realize, well, actually, instead of asking myself and telling myself why I can't do it, ask the question, how can I do it? And then you get an answer. And so I move you literally from, someone, I say your version of today, your version 1.0. As we said before, we are who we are today because of how we've lived up to now, the experiences we've had, the action we took or didn't take, the decisions we made or didn't make, and we're here today. And today's a good day. And you wouldn't be who you are today if you hadn't had all those good and bad experiences. But now there's something unique about you that wants to express itself. So once you determine what that is, then we need to get you there. And that's, you could say, is your version 2.0. So I move you from where you are today to where you want to be. And the thing we have to do is change your belief systems. What do you believe you can and can't do? Change the way you see yourself. If you think you can do something, you're absolutely right. And if you believe that you can't do something, you're also right. Because the actions that you take based on that belief that you have are going to be very different. And so you get very different results.
And I think the problem a lot of people have is that they just can't see their way through this mentally without support. And it's a real privilege to have support, to have somebody in their life like you to guide them through. But a lot of people now just feel so overwhelmed that getting clarity on this stuff is impossible. Getting clarity on and actually how they feel in any given moment, or whether the stories that are going around in their head are true or not. Are they just things they've heard? Or it's a line I very often use with my daughter. Not everything you think is true. Just because it's in your head as a thought doesn't mean to say it's reality. Do those friends still like me? Well, you don't know that. You're assuming and you're filling in gaps, because that's what we do, isn't it? We fill our heads with stories, and taking time to pause, press the pause button on that story and analyze it. I think a lot of people are just so overwhelmed with busy lives and maybe ill health, or that step which could give them this amazing clarity, and it is very simple in a way, isn't it? It's a very simple focal point to mental and emotional health is beyond them.
Yeah. And it
which is really
simple.
sad.
It is. And it's simple, but it's not easy.
No.
Because
you
if
have
it was
to
easy,
practice.
everybody would be doing it. Yeah. So you've got to basically train your mind, and you've got to give yourself the space to do that. And like you said, for many people, it's very difficult to create that space. And that's why I think, people need a mentor. If you want to be good at anything, you need a mentor or a coach. You need an expert to sort of show you. If you want to learn to play the piano, okay, you can teach yourself, but you'd be way better if you got a piano teacher. If we look at the high performing athletes, they all have a coach because they have an expert on diet, they have an expert on mindset, they have an expert on physical stuff. So anybody who really is at the top of their game has somebody that helps them, because we all have blind spots, and we all have this current frame of reference that we're thinking in, those paradigms. They're guiding our logic, they're guiding our thought processes. So most of us will need someone else to actually step outside of that and then see that there is another way. And I think what holds a lot of people back is that we sort when there's something that we might want, we don't know how to do it. And because we are maybe it could even just be a flash thought. We're identifying something that we want, and immediately our mind goes to, I don't know how to do it. And because of that, people think, well, I don't know how to do this. I've never done this before. And they don't know how to get to that point. But it's the same with everything that's new. So if, and I know I've given you this example before, Helen, it's, if you drive a car, the very first time you got in that car, you'd never been in a car before, and you got into the driver's seat and you were going to drive that car. So you had a desire to learn to drive. You had a belief that told you that it was possible to learn how to drive, but you didn't know how to do it. You didn't know how to start the car. You didn't know how to change the gears. You didn't know how to, navigate the traffic. And so you have no clue, but you knew you were going to learn. And so what I really help people to sort of create a space between what it is that you want and the how you're going to do it, because I will teach you how to do it. And I will teach you in such a way that you will then also know how to do it yourself on anything else that you want.
I think I definitely need a session with you, Caddy.
Yeah.
Definitely. If this thing actually goes, if anybody's watching right now, it means I have done it.
Yes.
Even though I did think I couldn't get my head around this tech. But yeah, with Caddy's support, I'm going to get through and get out the other side and find a way to do it. But I remember you saying a long time ago, it's something you said in a conversation, and it really stuck with me, that if you haven't managed to achieve what you want in 6 months, then you need support to do it. It's not going to happen. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting, that if you've been, say, thinking about, I don't know, giving up smoking or losing some weight or doing more exercise, and you've had that sort of thought and drive in your head from anything more than 6 months, you're not going to do it on your own. So find some support.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was really poignant for me. I thought, gosh, yeah, that's really, yeah, because we all let that 6 month boundary just drift on, don't we?
Oh yeah, I've talked to people.
That's the pension scheme for the 20-year-olds who stay where they are in employment because, well, it's a good, as you say, it's a good pension. So that 6 months is a really interesting, thought-provoking idea that, maybe you do need a nudge, or maybe you need to find a different way if you're 6 months down the line with something
that you really want.
So how, people are going to listen to this, Caddy, and go, oh, this is just what I need, How do people find you? How do you work on a one-to-one with people? We're obviously online now, and that's how you work, isn't it?
I do. Yeah.
Remotely?
So I work with people one-to-one.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do a group, but I actually prefer to work one-to-one because I really get to know the person, and it's nice to sort of tailor the coaching very specifically to that individual person. So the program that I teach is called Thinking into Results. It was created by a guy called Bob Proctor. And if you're into the self-development space, then most likely you will have heard of Bob Proctor. Otherwise, Google him. He was in the movie The Secret. If you and so it's there are 12 modules, 12 lessons, and you as a student, you would spend 2 weeks on each of the lessons. So there's daily videos, study videos for you to do, and then there's some written work to do as well, because really the only way to really make a transformation is to repeat stuff. Simple example, we know our times tables because we repeated them over and over again. I went to school in Holland and we used to sing our timetables, so now I know 6 times 8 is 48. I think that's right, but I don't have to go, but it's because you've sort of repeated it over and over again, and now you just know it. So it's important that we, on a daily basis, really, get you to apply the information that you're being given. And then on the one-to-one, so the first week that you are on your lesson, I will facilitate that lesson. If you have any questions, we will be very specific about, if you like, the process. And then in the second week that you're on the lesson, we will do something very specific to you. So, I have clients who might want to start their own business. So we will look at, okay, well, how do you apply, the things that you're learning to grow your business? Someone might want to create more free time in their life. So how do you do that? So, I'll teach you how to do that. So it's the process is 6 months, and it's literally a step-by-step process. I guide you step by step. Just follow the process, and I guarantee it will work. And I always say, I also guarantee if you want to change something, it hasn't happened in 6 months, I guarantee you that nothing will change unless you get some help. And and then people very quickly start to see results. You know, we work towards a specific goal, but everything you learn impacts every other area of your life. You're one person, right? So if you feel good at work, home tends to be good. If you have a problem at work, you take it home. If there's, you know, issues at home, you tend to take them to work. And, you know, so everything you learn will apply to any and every situation in your life, anything you want to do.
So how can people find you on social media, on, you know, just give a shout out. What I will do, of course, when I put this out is include all that information. But what's the best way for people to contact you to start the process?
So I have a website, and it's www.believe-achieve.org. They can obviously get in touch with you, and you have all my contact details, so
absolutely
they can go there. And I will send you all my social media tags and links. And
okay, and we can pop those on. And Caddy is one of our founding members of our Wellbeing Directory, so Caddy is up there, and you can find her on that platform as well. But we will include all this in it. That was so good, Caddy. And I feel so relaxed now. I've done my with you. You're a wonderful first person to start with. It's really good. Yeah, really interesting. And it's given me a lot to think about. Certainly just doing this process this morning with you. And all the sort of little work battles I'm struggling my way through at the moment. Yeah, it's yeah, it would be really helpful if I had somebody at my side to sort of help me through to the next stage. So that would be fantastic. So let's book a session. Let's book a session.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Again, you know, our language, the language that we use, is very important.
Yeah.
Because when you think you're struggling, you're struggling. When you think I'm learning, you're learning.
Yeah.
So I'm learning.
I am learning and I'm growing. I just sometimes have to walk away and lie down for a bit because
of course
my head is saturated. Is that an okay word to use? It's full.
Absolutely.
And I need to just sort of process for a little bit, and then I'm ready for the next crisis.
Yeah. And I do think, you know, it's very, very important to acknowledge how we really feel. This isn't about just a positive mindset. This is about understanding where you're at today. How do you feel today? So if you're angry, you got to acknowledge that that's how I feel. I feel angry. I feel frustrated. You don't even have to explain why. You don't have to justify it, because you feel how you feel. And once you have acknowledged something and you have accepted, this is how I feel right now, it's just a moment, just right now, then we can work with it. Because when we try to, you know, put it away, no, I shouldn't be angry, or I shouldn't be frustrated, or I shouldn't be sad, or I shouldn't be upset. Nothing, you stop, because you can't work with something that you don't acknowledge. So that's one of the key things, you know, you are where you are today. There's nothing wrong with it. It is what it is. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go?
And everything can change. Everything can change.
And it changes immediately when you change the way that you think about something.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Caddy, for everything. And thank you for doing this with me and being my sort of first starter out into this brave new world. I'm really delighted to do it with you. And, you know, we're on to the next one now. And Caddy's going to do a few more sessions for us. Going to do a little mini series, aren't we, on that Caddy would work through with you in her program. So keep an eye out for those. But for now, thank you, Caddy.
Oh, thank you, Helen, for having me. I love working with you. It's great.
Oh,
you take it on board, and it makes a difference.
I try. All right. We'll speak very soon. Thanks, everybody, for listening.